expertise, bridging wet lab biotechnology and computational bioinformatics. He brings he brings valuable insight into the evolving opportunities at the intersection of biology and data science. Today, he will be speaking on the topic Bioinformatics 2026 Opportunities, Key Skills, and Career Growth. We are truly honored to have him with us today, and I'm sure his session will provide valuable guidance for all students and aspiring researchers. Without further delay, I invite Dr. Sayan Chatterjee to begin his session. Thank you.
Am I audible, Meera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction and welcome you all. Before I start, I would like to thank Mohandas College for Engineering and Technology and the IEEE student branch team for inviting me to talk on this very eminent topic on career choices based on computational tools. Usually what happens when we try to pursue a field which is research oriented, let's say biotechnology, we feel that only wet lab matters or the wet lab skills matters. But nowadays, with the advent of AI and other computational tools, it's very evident that the wet lab should be complemented with computational analysis, statistical rigor, and so on. I would like to especially thank Mamta. She was in touch with me and cajoled me into this particular session. Okay, I'll not waste much time. I'll load my PPT, which will help us to get a visual tour on what I'll be talking. So give me a few seconds as I share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. So, bioinformatics is basically a conglomeration of IT and life sciences. And when we talk about IT these days, information technology has been broadly into artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and so on. So there is a career coming up, or rather it's already there in many countries and India is contributing to it, where bioinformatics is not only a field for bio students or life science students to think of, but it is for the IT as well. It has a very good career growth line. It is highly evolving field so that you have to have idea of both life sciences as well as computational sciences. As we move forward, we'll be talking about the Indian biotech sector as well, which is fast moving into bioinformatics. One very important part of using bioinformatics is my screen still visible?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Okay. I'm getting a screen on saying you are not allowed to share your screen. you can ask the meeting host to turn on the screen sharing. I need some help.
So, can you wait for a second, please?
Yes, please.
Sir, can you kindly try now to present or share the screen?
Sure. Thank you, Vignesh. My slides are back to visible. Can I get a feedback, Vignesh?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see
sir.
my
Yeah,
slides?
yeah, visible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, the onset of bioinformatics started when the biological data kept on increasing at a very exponential way. The biological research, the genomic analysis, especially the whole genome sequencing, as we all know, with the advent of very fast sequencing methods, the sequencing data was very easily available and the biological databases grew a lot. So based on that, see, there was a paradigm shift from the functional to the foundational engine. That means till 2020, the AI, bioinformatics, or the artificial tools which were computational based was only a support function to biological research. Whereas in 2026, these are not the support engines, but the foundational engine. So this has become a very integral part of your learning bioinformatics, learning biotechnology, learning pharma, and learning life sciences. As you see, I kept on increasing the horizon of learning. From bioinformatics, I reached out to life sciences and allied sectors. This is because bioinformatics is not only related to biotech, but it touches upon all the healthcare, even fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG sector, where bioinformatics can tell you, let's say, a shelf life of a food or a pharma product without doing the shelf life analysis. If you know the shelf life analysis is, you keep that product for those many days, or you can have a accelerated degradation of that product, and you can mathematically calculate what can be the shelf life or expiry date of that particular molecule. Nowadays, you can do it in minutes. Computational biology have the data where it can calculate a particular molecule, how it will degrade within your body, outside your body, on the shelf, and so on. So, as you see, in the past, the research support was given by doing some Excel analysis, doing some literature survey, which we call as exploratory research. Pick up the pointer. So the literature research was via either a library with books and journals, or through the internet, through Google Scholar, Science Direct, and other scholarly databases. Now, you all know even the exploratory research or the literature review can be done through AI tools. Next, the data storage focus. In the past, the data storage was the only IT thing or the only bioinformatic thing that people were interested in. You download the data of other researchers and then analyze it in your own machine. Nowadays, it has moved from data storage focus to data analytic focus. So you need not have a very heavy computational machine to access the data or even to analyze the data. There are cloud analytical engines where you can submit your data from various online databases, run your analytical software in that cloud server, and you can use even your mobile Android or iOS device to submit or to give instruction how to analyze. Now, as there is a very important driver coming up, which is known as generative AI, which integrates large language models into biological modeling. What are large language models? These are large data which have some computational meaning, which means language. And model means you can mathematically predict the structure or the behavior of the data. So integrating large language models in biological modeling gave us very important analytical tools like AlphaFold. I'll be talking about AlphaFold later on, and other tools which used to be cut the experimental time, which used to be days. For example, if you are working on microbiology, if you want to have a growth curve of an unknown organism, you have to wait for the organism to go to the log phase, then lag phase, and then ultimately die. This may take, if it's a microorganism, it may take 2 to 3 days. If it is a plant, it may take even months. So these language models or these data models can be predicted within the computational system. And with more and more diseases coming up these days, the real-time diagnosis or the clinical application of analysis, where you have instantaneous patient data processing for immediate point of care. Say, for example, there is a blood culture or a urine culture given to a particular lab. So you know, blood culture or a urine culture will give you 3 to 4 days of incubation. And let's say a particular lab, like Lal Path Lab or any other popular national pathological laboratory, they have so many data to analyze. So what happens? All these data are done by robotics. Just imagine when you were asked in your lab to plate 20 microbiological plates and then streak on those 20 microbiological plates. It would have taken the whole 2 to 3 hours of your lab. Now there are robotic arms where they pour, plate, streak, and even analyze the data for you and give you instantaneous result so that you can act upon that infection immediately. Next comes the multi-omics. Multi-omics revolution is where we can integrate the behavior of DNA, the behavior of RNA, the behavior of protein into a holistic patient profiling, where we can see whether the DNA, RNA, protein are having any disease conditions. In biology, or rather biotechnology field, we used to have a chicken and egg problem, which came first kind of, where there was a school of thought which used to tell that every problem lies in the DNA. And there was a school of thought which used to tell every problem lies in the translated DNA, that is the protein. So now it has come to multi-omics approach, where we say that no, it is not only the DNA or the nucleotides, it's not only the protein, but the organism as a whole. Humans as an organism, as a higher organism, cannot be oversimplified as based on their DNA or protein. So the multi-omics approach helps us in this way. I'm trying to change my slide, but somehow the slide is not changing. Okay, now it's done. Can you see the 4 pillars of industry demand? Need a quick feedback.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So as we were talking about how this particular area has evolved, there's no point skipping the discussion how we can jump into this particular demand. So the 4 pillars of industry demand based on biotechnology field is the precision medicine, where the clinical bioinformaticians work closely with variant scientists. What is a variant scientist? A variant scientist is a scientist which works on mutation. Initially, they were known as geneticists or genetic scientists, but as we know now that it's not only the gene, but the protein as well. So people who work on variations of genes and proteins and other biological molecules which can cause disease are known as variant scientists. They interpret the patient-specific data. And what is patient-specific data? It's a holistic data. WGS stands for whole genome sequencing for a particular disease that against which they are being screened. For example, cancer, for example, some rare diseases, autoimmune diseases, and so on. So how does precision medicine work? Every individual is unique. When we talk about this particular line, we are not only talking about a philosophical thought that every human is unique, we are also talking about the biology behind it. Every human is unique by its constituent of DNA, by its constituent of proteins, and so on. So a particular dosage of medicine or a treatment may work from one individual, but may not work equally effectively for another. So, non-bioinformatic example or a simpler example can be, we all have fever one time or the other, and we take a very popular medicine for fever known as paracetamol, popularly acronymed as PCM. We have seen paracetamol comes in various weights. It can be 350 milligram, it can be 500 milligram, it can be 650 milligram, and it can be 1 gram, 1000 milligram. So why is this difference? Because paracetamol should be given to a person based on its body weight. So let's say, I am almost 96 kilos. So For me, the 350, 500 or even 650 milligram of paracetamol will not work effectively as it will work for a person who's around 60 kilograms. So this is a broad use of medicines based on the patient characteristics. Precision medicine, by the name itself, is much more precise, where I have talked about only body weight, where they take into account all the parameters, body parameters, external, internal, DNA, protein analysis, and so on, and then decide the treatment or the course of action. Then comes tech bio, which is known as drug discovery. When we are talking about precision medicine, the medicine needs to be developed as well. And here, quite contrary to the popular belief, the pharmacy graduates or the pharmacy students can manufacture the medicines well, but to develop it, they need a bio guy who understands the disease. A pharmacy guy understands the molecules, the pharmaceutical molecules very well. But the bio guy understands the tech and the bio, which is required for drug discovery. Now, there have been a lot of AI analysis and protein modelers where even if you do not have the isolated disease protein in your hand, you can predict what kind of medicine will work on those disease proteins. As I have already named one in my previous slide, that is AlphaFold 3. There are other large language model AI tools which predict not only interactions, but it can even predict your ADMET profile. ADMET profile means ADMET. A stands for absorption, D stands for digestion, M stands for metabolism, E stands for excretion, and T stands for toxicology. Usually it is done in mouse models or other laboratory models to check the ADMET profile of a particular drug. However, now we have computational tools to identify the ADMET profile of a particular drug. So no more animal sacrifice, no more waiting for the animal to get the disease, to harvest the organs and check how the organs are affected. So it's just a computer program where you put in the file of your molecule in a particular format, the structural file, and the ADMET profile is given to you. Isn't that interesting? Next comes the agri-biotech. India, being majorly an agro-economic country, is really flourishing in the area of agro-biotech, or I would rather like to call it agro-bioinformatics. We have contributed to whole genome sequencing of a lot of food and cash crops. And there are certain crops like certain varieties of rice, which India has only done the whole genome analysis first. We have a scientific organization totally dedicated to agri-biotech research, known as Indian Council for Agricultural Research, ICAR. They have contributed a lot in the growth of agri-biotech in India and globally. So there are pan-genomic specialists who are developing climate smart, drought resistant, and any other stress resistant. It can be drought resistant, it can be flood resistant, it can even be pollution resistant crops and monitoring soil microbiomes. We were talking about omics. Omics is the part of analysis of various parts like genomic, proteomic. Biomes are the biospheres or the total organisms within a particular space. So soil microbiomes means all the microorganisms that are present in soil. So gut microbiome will be meaning that total variety of gut microbiota present in our gut or any organism's gut, and so on. So just imagine counting and categorizing the whole microbiome will take how much time? But with the advent of bioinformatic tools, it takes much less time for analysis. I've given a very simplistic view of microbial analysis being enhanced due to robotics and AI. So you can visualize how this can be done for the whole microbiome. Now comes the consumer genomics. These days, we know the importance of wellness. I mean, we need to be healthy first, then wealthy, right? So we have a lot of wearable tech, which gives us day-to-day health data to give us good feedback on our health. And these health tech is slowly moving into DNA-based, protein-based analysis. Again, a very simplified example of it is you might have seen wearable glucose monitors nowadays. So glucose monitors are nothing but they are trying to analyze a particular molecule, that is sugar, in your blood. And these kind of wearables can even monitor any kind of protein in your blood, any kind of molecule in your blood, so that if there is a rise in a particular molecule, it can give you the feedback within seconds. Now comes new role hierarchy. That means the specialized roles emerging beyond the generic analyst title. Let me share with you, I started my career where I was known as the genetic analyst. I started in a biotech MNC situated in just the adjacent state to yours, Tamil Nadu. It was having a biotech cluster, a biotech ACG zone. So I was a genetic research analyst there. So during our days, the analyst title was pretty popular. Now these titles have worn away. Now when you talk about being a bioengineer, your focus is on something else. You're not an analyst. Analysis, or rather data analysis and interpretation, you all know, is now done by computers. You only have to know how to give them commands and what particular data you need or what particular analysis you need. So the first one is AI ethics and compliance. Whenever there is a new tool coming up, there should be an ethical guideline to use it. So who will monitor what is the AI ethics and compliance for bioinformatics industry? Obviously, the biotech engineers. The AI models used for bioanalysis may pass on the information security part, which is part of computation knowledge, but they should also pass the biocompliance as well. So this is an area or a new role where you can build up your skill sets on AI ethics and regulatory compliances based on, let's say, genomics and data privacy. Whenever we talk about privacy, there is another world of exactly opposite to privacy known as piracy. So there is a lot of data piracy going on, and especially biological data, clinical data is of utmost importance. If your bank records are pirated, you can ask your bank and stop the money exchange or the money interchange, and you'll be saved from the situation. Just imagine your medical data being pirated. Where will you go and report to stop that piracy or to stop that transaction? Believe me, I myself do not have any answer to this question. I'm sure you might be able to answer it, if not today, in future. So this is a huge thing where medical data privacy becomes of utmost importance. Next comes automation engineer. Every laboratory experiment have become automated. This is known as bio pipelines. 10 years before, our students were guided by us. We used to tell our students that, okay, learn a few skill sets of wet lab. Let's say learn how to handle cell cultures, animal cell cultures, cancer cells, how to handle PCR, how to handle NMR, how to handle diagnostic appliances like auto-analyzer, semi-auto-analyzer, and so on. Nowadays, these are done by robots or robotic hands. If someone is thinking that learning only a PCR technique or learning the animal cell culture technique will give them an upper hand of knowing a skill set over others, in today's time point, they might not be completely right. You have to know how they are being automated, and you need to know how to run these equipments. I've given a small example or a small picture example of a code running here, which is helping a robotic arm to do the pipetting. And the pipetting is done on a microchip. So it is a kind of biomems that I'm trying to refer to, where you have microfluidic devices, which does all the analytical part, and you have to automate these things. So automation engineer who can handle bio pipelines are in more demand than a one who is good at laboratory maintenance. So biotechnicians are being replaced by bioengineers. So keep in mind that do not be a biotechnician but a bioengineer to ride the tide of AI and bioinformatics. Next one is the spatial bioinformatics or spatial transcriptomics, where we have the 3D disease mapping. Now you'll be able to understand the 3D disease mapping much more, because we have already talked about how we map the genes, the proteins, and other molecules within our body as a whole system to understand a disease. So that's what we talk about when we talk about 3D disease mapping. Now, till now we were talking about talking in general about the global scenario as well as India. So now let's concentrate on India. What is the strategic strength, weakness, opportunities, and strength in the Indian context? Our strengths are, we have a huge young population which have the domain expertise like deep biological institutions, as well as we have good computer science graduate students. We have cost effectiveness over others. We got the IT hubs in the country than in any other country way before the IT innovation came to other countries from US and Europe, just because the change or the difference between the dollar and the Indian rupees. So on a global perspective, cost-effective competitiveness is always there with India as well as with China. But China, I mean, India being the largest democratic country, we will always be having an edge over China in the Asian market. And then interdisciplinary versatility, the bridging between wet lab and dry lab. We have very good institutions which are working great internationally in wet lab as well as in dry lab. So bridging the gap between two is one of our strengths. Weakness, the syntax barrier, as we call it. Many bio students find a very steep learning curve when they are asked to learn computer science concepts or coding. Sometimes there are maths or stats anxiety among biological students, a fear of complex algorithms, a fear of doing higher algebra, and so on. And then lastly, the lack of big data experience. Most of the institutions doesn't have a collaboration with institutions which have these big data that we talk about. Big data means the huge amount of biological data that I referred initially, which led to the field of bioinformatics. So we only learn the theoretical part of it and not the hands-on experience, especially in the undergraduate labs. Now, I mean, although there is these weaknesses, there are ways of overcoming these weaknesses. As we slowly move into the era of deep learning and AI, let's say the syntax barrier does not exist. You can use AI tools to prepare the basic of your code or even troubleshoot your code. The maths and stats are being done by softwares. The big data experience can be simulated over a cloud computational tool. Next, opportunities. There are, as I told you earlier while discussing agribiotech, there are many Genome India projects which are running in the country. And they need a lot of manpower who are good in bio and knows the informatic part of it. So they need biotech students more rather than the CS and IT students. Rise of remote and hybrid work. Now, sitting in your hometown, you can work for Silicon Valley in US or any European countries with the rise of remote and hybrid work. This not only gives you an opportunity for the global job scenario, but also to the companies and institutions to hire good candidates globally. And then comes the precision medicine revolution in Indian healthcare. In Indian healthcare, if you see, people are now more bent on doing a RT-PCR or doing a DNA-based analysis, a proteomics-based analysis of the disease, rather than just believing or relying on their medical experience. So now, analytical-based treatment are becoming more and more popular in India. Now comes the threats. With entry-level, with AI automation, the entry-level tasks will be gone. Just I was discussing, I mean, there will be no biotechnicians required. I mean, how well you streak a plate, pour a plate, do your pipetting, or do your PCR, or prepare your sample for NMR or electron microscope will not matter, because there will be AI automation and all these things will be done by robotics. Rapid skill obsolescence. Many lab-based skills will be obsolete because of AI automation and due to new diagnostic tools coming in. It's not only because of only AI, but as we have told that the precision medicine revolution is going on. So there will be rapid obsolescence of older diagnostic skills and coming up of rapid screening and newer skills for biological data analysis, even in wet lab. So wet lab itself will replace wet lab techniques. And then strict data privacy laws. Now, I mean, a new threat is coming up where you need to know about data privacy and you have to work in line with data privacy so that you are being hired by organizations as a good manpower. So next, what are the skill sets that are required? And these skill sets, as I told that, I mean, wet lab replacing wet lab, even dry labs are replacing dry labs. So this is the 2026 skill stack. I'm very confident 1 year down the line when we'll be talking about these skill stacks, there'll be definitely some changes. So the first one is biology, which is the basis of all the bioinformatic analysis. So you have to have the multi-omics integration. That means the DNA analysis, RNA analysis, protein analysis, and NGS mastery. That means new generation sequencing, next generation sequencing mastery. From there, it goes to computational skill sets. Python, or I mean, if you are talking about biological analysis, it's BioPython. Or if you are talking about biological tools, it's under Bioconductor. And then again, a new requirement, Rust, which is for the memory safety. The data that you are storing should be safe in the memory of the computer that you are using or the cloud storage that you are using. Talking about cloud storage and OPS, here comes the next one, AWS Omics. Whatever IT company that you have in your mind, which are doing great, they are nowadays doing great in bioinformatics. Those IT automation in banking sector, IT automation in office, in managing information systems are gone. Now the business is in bio. So Amazon Web Services, AWS, is having Amazon Omics. Google Cloud is having Google Cloud Life Sciences. And there are so many workflow managers. That means individual companies coming up with softwares, which I'm very sure will be taken up by these big houses later on. These are some of the names are Nextflow, SnakeMake, and so on. And lastly, as you see, as the DNA and protein makes into the brain of your body, the brain is the intelligence. You need to know how the cloud is working, how it is computing, what the biology behind it. So there are transformers, graph neural networks, which means molecular structures, reinforcement learning. And how do you learn these things? There are many learning platforms coming up with IBM Plexman is one. So you have to integrate all these 1, 2, 3 skills into your own natural intelligence to harbor the skill sets of artificial intelligence. Now, how to do it? When we talk about how to do it, these are the educational gateways in India. Definitely, I mean, the global ones are also there. I'll first of all cater to the topic of MSc and MTech with the advent of national education policy. This is the question that we are facing nowadays. What is the difference between MSc and MTech? So MSc skill sets are mainly targeted towards academic achievements, and MTech towards technical achievements. That means in terms of bioinformatics, MSc academic will focus on genomics and Python-like tools, whereas an MTech will focus on algorithms and handling big data related to bioinformatics. So I've given some name of institutes as an example, but I mean, there are so many institutes for doing biotechnology and computer science courses. It can be bioinformatics, it can be computational biology, and so on. And this is a field which changes every day. So upskilling and getting diplomas on newer techniques never stops. So you can start from today itself to gain diplomas and certifications on various techniques that you feel you'll be using for your next 10 years of service. I would always tell that try to crack some entrance exams so that you get some scholarships while you do these trainings or even the degrees. There are CUET PG, there's GATE, there's GADB, there's DBT BITP for diplomas, and so on. Now, the ROI, the return on investment. I've been talking about investing yourself into upskilling, investing your time, your money, and so on. So what is the return on investment? I have given you a very, very conservative analysis on the ROI. This is the minimum of what you can expect. Very conservative data. The entry level is of analyst or trainee, which will give you something around 4 to 6.5, and it goes higher up till director, which will give you around 35 to 60 LPA. However, when I talk about this is a very, I've been very miser about the numbers. I'm not only miser about the numbers of the pay, I'm also miser about the numbers on the experience panel as well. So when I talk about you need 7 to 12 years to go to senior level, it is not. Why not? Because the sooner you pick up the skill sets, the sooner you move into this career ladder. So only grinding years will not matter. If you do not pick up skill sets, you'll be stuck in one particular level. And if you pick up skill sets faster, you'll move this ladder much more faster. Now, some strategic do's and don'ts. When even in lab or in class, when we talk about, when we train you to do a particular stuff, do an experiment, we always tell you the do's and don'ts. So now we are talking about how to plan your career. So here are the do's and don'ts when you plan your career in computational biology or bioinformatics. The do's are, please build a GitHub portfolio. And if you don't know what is GitHub, it is a repository, open source repository, where you have all your projects for public viewing. And definitely it has to do something with codes and work pipelines and so on. Do not use a GitHub portfolio as your LinkedIn profile. Do not upload just the certificates. Upload your hands-on projects, the codes, the analytical pipeline, the flowchart, and so on. Understand the wet lab origin. If you do not know the wet lab, you will never be a good dry lab person. And definitely master cloud tools. Nowadays, no institute or no company will invest on a high-end computer. They will get a license of a cloud computing or a cloud database. So you need to master cloud tools to be acquainted with how to use them. And the don'ts. Don't ignore maths or statistics. There are softwares to do the tough job. So you need not do it on a pen and paper, but you need to understand the data. So do not risk of keeping the statistics aside. Do not rely on GUI tools, that means graphic user interface tools. There are many tools where you just click and get the results. Do not do it because they may give you false results, as well as you will not learn how the pipeline is working. So career growth, I'll not say only requires, it solely requires custom scripting. If you don't know the script, you will slowly get obsolete, because as you will be solely dependent on the software and not the code itself. Next, do not neglect data cleaning. There's a very popular catchphrase in IT, which has come into bioinformatics as well. GIGO is known as garbage in, garbage out. When I talk with my students who are working on drug design, the first question when they come with their results that I ask is, have you cleaned up your protein data? Have you cleaned up your drug library? If they haven't cleaned it, they have just downloaded the data and run their softwares, run their analysis, run their tools, they are getting garbage in and garbage out. So know how to clean your data. Everyone can run a software, but I mean, cleaning the data, handling the data, knowing the data is what makes you a true bioinformatician. So now that I have told that these are the things you need to master, how will you master? So just like semester timetable, I'm handing you over a 6 months timetable beyond your semester to master the skills that you that I have talked in or referred throughout my talk here. So month 1, it's basic Linux, Python, and getting familiarized with GitHub. It will give you an understanding of basics of biocoding. Then month 2, I always believe whatever subject you dislike the most, take it the first. In many Indian households, the bitter gourd is served the first. And it is a popular concept that you have, if you have bitter gourd in your starting of the meal goes well. So take the bitter pill first. So take the statistical, learn the statistical tools in your month 2. And now you can connect your statistical tools with the codes. So now you will see that you did not solve the statistics or the maths on your own. Your coding does it. Month 3, as we call it, the bread and butter, the basics of bioinformatics, next generation sequence alignment, variant calling, RNA sequencing, and so on. And then month 4, the biocoding base. Since now you know the codes, you know the statistics, you know the bio, integrating, how to integrate all these 3. So I've told initially Snake Master, Nextflow, the NF Core, Docker, Singularity. These are softwares which are having a very user-friendly way of using them. But as I told you, user-friendly or graphic user interface will not make you stay in bioinformatics. So in the next month, as you have mastered the user interface part, go into AI and ML integration. Do the coding of your statistical rigor. And then the last one is month 6, where you learn to use the cloud computing databases and cloud computing tools. So this not only ends our discussion, now it is exactly 8:30 on my clock. I was told by Mamta that we need to stop by 8:30. So I'll stop by using this last slide. The currency of 2026 is actionable data. Don't be a sloth. Start your GitHub repository today. Prepare for your GAT A, GAT B, GATE entrance exams. Pick a niche. Don't be a biotech guy. Pick up a skill set within biotech. Be a clinical guy. Be a tech bio guy. Be a agriculture guy. AI tool is to enhance your analysis, not a replacement for your biological intuition, biological knowledge, or biological intelligence. With this, I stop my talk and let me
Okay.
come back into my screen. Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, please free to drop them in the chat or unmute and ask now. I mean, it's time for Q&A sessions now. If anyone has any questions, please.
In fact, if you have any queries or any, if you need any interactions, my email is with the organizers, the IEEE student chapter. So you can get in touch with them, and through them you can email me. I think we actually, I actually took all the time. I mean, I thought I'll save some time for interaction, but it's already 8:30.
It's okay, sir. I think we can have a few more minutes. Maybe if anybody has serious questions.
Yes.
Anybody?
How can we start learning the softwares early? Start today. But I'll take it in a more detailed manner. What I feel when you talk about learning early means learning fast. So when you, if you want to learn fast a software, pick up a small project using that software. You learn it first, fast. For example, let's say you want to learn AlphaFold, which is a software for giving you the structure of a protein where the protein is not yet isolated or not yet have a crystallographic data. So pick up a project and try to find out a disease protein, how the structure looks like using the AlphaFold. In that way, you learn not only fast, but you learn exactly the application of that particular tool. And definitely there are many YouTube videos and free channels which will help you to do it. Could you please guide us from where we can learn? Wait a minute, it went off. From where we can learn these softwares. Okay, see, there's no one single platform where you can learn these softwares. I always believe on self-learning the softwares, but definitely you need a push. You need an initial handholding. The best is try to get yourself enrolled in some online courses, invest some time beyond class hours into NPTEL courses, Coursera courses, edX courses. Even I would encourage you to ask your institutes, the CS faculty or the BT faculty, to launch a workshop for 5 days or 3 days where they themselves will make you learn beyond the curriculum. See, the syllabus is updated every 5 or 10 years, but these skill sets are getting updated every year. As I told, I mean, in 2027, I'll have to change my slides because, I mean, the key skill sets will not be there. The next question is, how would we know for a language like Python or R the depth so that we can learn about the application and how to build the projects that last an impression rather than just learning the basics? See, never learn the basics. The basics are actually your enthusiasm. That's the basic of a language. When you learn a language, there's nothing known as basics. So I'll take both the questions together. The next question is learning Python necessary to shine in biotechnology field? No. So whatever you are learning, any language, Python or R, it is not necessary. But learning a language will give you an understanding of logical thinking, how you are thinking and how you can represent it in a computational code. It's just like learning a language. For example, if you know an Indian language, is it, let's say, I mean, I currently am from Delhi. So if you learn Hindi, it will be easier for you to learn, to understand Haryanvi or Punjabi. But if you move to, let's say, western part of the country, you will be able to understand Marathi, but you will not be able to understand Konkani. If you move farther south, I mean, you'll not be able to understand Malayali or Tamil, right? So learning Hindi will not help you throughout the country. So similarly, in a computational language, Python is not necessary, but you have to learn one particular language which will help you to develop the logical thinking, expressing your logics into a computational language. Even this Python and R, this will veer off and new languages will come. Let me tell you, before Python, there was a language known as Perl, which was very popular. And those days we were getting questions like, is it necessary to learn Perl? So definitely, I mean, people who learned Perl were found it easy to move from Perl to Python. So a language is not necessary, but learn any language to develop your logical expression, computational logic. Next is graduate level statistics and mathematics are enough for bioinformatics? In one word, no. Because statistics and mathematics for bioinformatics are very different from that vast graduate level statistics or maths. So learn very pinpointed tools of statistics and mathematics which are related to bio or bioinformatics. So you need not learn statistics and mathematics at graduate level. Learn the tools. And what tools? For example, in mathematics, you need not learn integral calculus or differential calculus, but you have to learn mathematical biology, where a particular, let's say, environmental species, how they move. So the geometry of movement you need to learn, but graduate level geometry you need not learn. These mathematical and statistical concepts are self-independent. So a tool is not dependent on another tool. So if you learn a tool, and that will suffice. And which tool to learn? Pick up an area on which you want to work, agri-biotech, clinical, pharma, and depending on that, these mathematical concepts, statistical concepts will come up. Learn the concepts, learn the tools, and you are bang on target. If you want to go more for math and code in this bioinformatics field, what all should we do for than just memorizing only the traditional biology? Please, please elaborate. I didn't get the question. Does GitHub profile should be high level project like building software, or it could be basic also? It could be just a snippet of a code. It can be just a small tool to, let's say, convert a particular file format into another file format. It can be just a tool to do the basic omics, like changing the DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, introducing mutations into the DNA and RNA, and so on. So don't, I mean, I keep on telling this. I mean, if you want to run a marathon, you cannot run the marathon on the first day. You start running in your own society. Then you pick up a sports complex and go there and run. And then you go to a proper professional track and run. And then you run the marathon. So Do not get scared of that you have to build a proper software to get a GitHub profile. Just try some tools, put it on GitHub, and build up your profile. The number matters. I mean, how many projects you are having in GitHub, and whether their codes are running. Even GitHubs give you an opportunity to interact with people working in the same field. So yes, I mean, even a small basic code will suffice. Just start. Okay. If you want to integrate code and more maths and stats at a deeper level, for a person that finds root learning as compared to a person who understands logical stuff like maths and CS, but is in biotechnology. This depends on the area on which you are working. For example, if you are working in agri-tech, it's mostly the genomic part, simulation of growth parameters. But again, if you are working in pharma, it is basically working with 3D models of molecules. So in every field that you chose, the code, the stat, the math required changes. So I would suggest to overcome this dilemma, choose a area on which you want to work. There's nothing known as a good choice or a bad choice. Once you choose, you learn some techniques, and these techniques will help you learn other techniques in some other area. So let's say you chose to work on genomics, and then after a few months, you thought, no, I'll work on drug design. So you can easily move from one to other. So it's not that once you choose a subject, you have to stick to it.
I think the questions are it.
Yes.
Anybody has any more questions? So I think let's conclude. Okay. Okay, so thank you all for being part of Bioinformatics 2026 Opportunities, Key Skills and Career Growth. A heartfelt thank you to Professor Sayan Chatterjee for sharing his valuable insights on the evolving landscape of bioinformatics and guiding us through the opportunities, essential skills, and career pathways in this exciting field. We hope today's session provided meaningful perspectives and helped you gain a clearer understanding of how bioinformatics is shaping the future of biotechnology and life sciences. Once again, on behalf of IEEE EMBS SBC MCET, we sincerely thank you all for your time and enthusiastic participation. Let us continue to explore, learn, and innovate together as we move forward in the world of biotechnology and bioinformatics. Thank you all. So, thank you, sir. Again, thank you so much.
I'll take my leave.
Yes, sir. But for the participants, the feedback form would be in the chat box. Please fill them, and your certificates would be provided later. Thank you.